All right, guys, welcome back to another installment of The Suited Shootist. Thanks for everybody who's been following me so far. It's really exciting because we've officially hit 1 year at this point, so this is the anniversary. I know I had talked about that back in March. Had a little to drink, not the best with math, and at TacCon is where the whole idea kind of came about. But May of last year is when this whole thing kicked off, so it's pretty exciting that we've gotten this far, and again, thanks everybody for the support. So I'm finally going to jump into the Being Basics series that I had talked about, and I think the best place to start is going to be kind of the Being Basic Pistolero. And the tenets that I want to touch on, it's not going to be anything new, it's just going to be my take on it. And if one or a few of these things are something that you've been struggling with, hopefully that new perspective might help get you to the breakthrough that you're looking for. So when it comes to the pistol handling skills, really the most critical parts in the order that make the most sense, in my opinion, are going to be grip first, draw second, trigger third, and then your sights fourth. And I'll kind of explain that. When it comes to the grip, some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about, I have picked up from various classes that I've taken. Most notably, Spencer Keeper's Handgun Essentials, Paul Sharp's Recoil Management, and then John Johnston's Technical Skills and Drills. It's kind of a wordy title, and it's escaping me at the moment, but it's one of the two classes that's offered by Citizens Defense Research, and it's not the Armed Parent class. So definitely check that out. When it comes to grip, the biggest light bulb moment that I had recently was kind of common dogma was that you want the pistol to be in line with the bones of your forearm. What Paul Sharp pointed out to me is when you're gripping the pistol that way, it leaves a pretty sizable dead space along the slab of the pistol. Yeah, you can grip it back and forth, but there's not a lot of contact here. So what I found helps is actually rotating the hand a little bit to get better contact with the palm, and I'm still able to grip it front to back. Now, the other part of it that was a major focus of Spencer's class is instead of trying to grip it strictly front to back, bringing these fingertips across to the palm. So it's almost a little bit more, when you have the support hand on there, of an X grip. So just kind of something to bear in mind there. It also, for me, gives me a slightly more easily referenced index point, because for my hand size, my hand geometry, and the size of my carry pistol, which is a Glock 19, the points of my knuckles are right under the trigger guard, and so it's very easy for me to kind of feel where that's at. And so the same thing with that support hand, it's bringing the pads of the fingers to the palm, and so there's that kind of X that's being put in place. It's getting talked about a lot more now than it had been when I'd started shooting, but focusing the grip on the pinky and then working up is something that I've found has given me a lot more control, because for a very long period of time, I was shanking shots inconsistently to the point where I couldn't diagnose what in the hell was going on. I think it was a combination of a bad grip, probably a little bit of a flinch as well. So those are just kind of the major points on that I think are worth mentioning. Play around with it. So instead of having in line with the arm, rotate it a little bit to get more contact with the hand. Try that X grip, work the grip from the fingers up, and see what that does for you. It can help live fire in terms of being able to allow you to manage the recoil better. It can help dry fire in terms of giving you a more consistent index as well. So just a couple things that I picked up play around with it, see if it helps. And the reason why I think that the grip needs to come first is because if you don't know what that good grip is supposed to feel like, then once you start going to the draw, it's going to be easy to allow yourself to get a less than optimal draw once you start trying to pick it up. And this is also kind of where one of the big tips I picked up from John Johnston came in, is it's partially grip, partially draw stroke. When he teaches it, he has a very upright stance and the shoulder blades are back. I was watching the previous video, and I was cringing hardcore at how much I was hunching my shoulders on the draw. So obviously that's something that I need to kind of work myself out of. But the idea being is once you have that good grip, you'll be able to then know what you're feeling for when you start coming out for the draw. And so that's the progression that kind of just makes sense in my brain. Once you've got that, the trigger control bit is pretty self-explanatory. I like the dry fire mag for this, again, because it allows you to get multiple trigger presses without having to reset the slide. There's not quite as much take up as on a factory trigger before the break, but it's relatively close if you run a stock trigger anyways. And so once you've got the good grip, that allows you to get to the good draw, that allows you to then get to the good trigger press. And you see I'm nosediving those a little bit because I have a tendency to milk the grip if I don't really crunch down on the pinky finger. And the reason why I think it comes in succession that way is because without a good grip, you can't establish a good grip for your draw. Once you have your draw out, that gives you the foundation for an uninterrupted trigger press. And if your grip is strong enough, it can offset some bad or less than ideal habits that you have with your trigger. And if your trigger press is solid enough, then that's when the sights come into play, because you can have the best sight picture in the world, but if your grip and your sight and if your grip and your trigger control suck, then that sucker is just going off target before the shot breaks, so it almost doesn't matter. When it comes to sights, again, something that I have found immensely useful is getting away from really distracting sights. All this is a blacked out rear and a green fiber front. I'm playing around with dots, but this is the next best thing in my opinion. If you are just either quasi dot curious, or you're apprehensive, or you just don't have the cash to get into it, I definitely think that a fiber optic front sight, or at least like the Hackathorn style really ultra high vis front sights, are going to be your best way to go. Because there's just a lot less distraction, and it's a lot easier to see what you need to see without a whole lot of noise and distraction. So again, just something to think about. But it really is critical in every aspect. It's not just going to be firearms. It's going to be wardrobe. It's going to be, from cocktail to social interaction, making sure that the basics are laid at such a level that it's not something that you have to think about. And what that gives you is it gives you the advantage, because that way when you come up against something that you now haven't dealt with before and you're having to get creative, You're not having to concern yourself with, is my grip good? Is my sights good? Is my trigger good? It's just there. It's a program running in the background. And so definitely worth spending some time on. Get some dry fire down, and if you've got an extra, $30 laying around, a dummy gun like this isn't a bad option either. Not necessarily essential, but it will allow you to do some stuff more safely than you would need to do with a live handgun. So, like I said, this is just kind of the jumping off point. The Being Basic series, I'm going to be touching on a lot of different stuff. It's not just going to be firearms related, because again, the purpose of my channel is about the social aspects of an armed lifestyle. So this is going to be everything from wardrobe to cocktail to firearm, and a couple other things interspersed in there. So please let me know what you think. Hopefully you guys are finding this useful. I really appreciate the support. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching it on Instagram, click the link in the bio, head over to YouTube, and check that out over there as well. If there's something that you want to see, throw it in the comments. If there's a question that you've got, throw it in the comments, because the entire reason why I'm sharing all of this is simply because the amount of time I've spent beating my head against the wall. So the idea is that I'm able to kind of provide the cliff notes of everything that it took me a lot of time and aggravation to figure out. So if there's something specific that I can help you with, I'd love to know about it. So hope everybody's going to have a great week. Stay safe, at least here in Texas. The state is starting to open up a little bit, so there are definitely going to be some potential new challenges in that regard. But other than that, like I said, stay safe, have a great week, and I'll catch y'all next time.